I tried to post via webcam, but because of a glitch in my laptop, I kept getting the wrong camera selected. I tried to fix the problem, tried to go back. I ended up with 4 versions of the live stream, none of which were suitable. One of them, which was 8 minutes of basically my laptop filming the back of a camera, which I tried to attach to overcome the lack of webcam within the laptop. Anyway, long story short, even this solution, which is posting on my phone, came with its own little issues. For example, it wants me to post vertically, not horizontally, or when I go to post or go live, it tells me I have to change the orientation in the phone. It's more information than my small brain can take. So here we are, a minute in, and I haven't said a damn thing, have I? Well, today's daily drop is really the cherry on the cake of a feeling I've had for the last couple of days. Yesterday, I went on to another creator's site, and I ended up unsubscribing from the guy. And the reason I ended up doing that was I was just sickened by the quality of the production. It was so good. It was like a Netflix quality documentary. It had camera angles, fantastic lighting, filters. It was scripted. It was set in beautiful locations. And the aim of the video was to tell me to just integrate my real life into what I do. So when I come to you, I should tell you about my interests. For example, that I like to play my guitar and that I teach music and that I write songs. Stuff like that. And that's great. The argument for this was that if I tell you things about myself, or as a creator, somebody does that, it makes me somehow more approachable, likable, real, all of those things. And I get it. It's great to be able to share elements of your own personality. And yeah, it makes you different. It makes you unique. And I'd love to be unique. I love to be different. But the reason I unsubscribed from this particular creator was his advice was good. But I also recall this guy saying, just post from your phone. If you're that hungry and you're that keen and motivated and you have that much desire to share your message with the world, hey, it's enough just to post from your phone. But what I was getting from yesterday's presentation was probably a 3 or 4 person crew, script writers, cameraman or woman, a director, and that's before we get into the editing suite and we get down to the cutting and the chopping and the post-production. So the guy who was telling me to, quotes, just post from my phone is using a full crew and investing quite a lot of cash into his work. And it annoyed me. And the reason it annoyed me is because I'm one of the proliferation of people who do just shoot from their phone or from their laptop. And I've been sold a lemon. I've been sold the notion, often by people who have a lot of backing, a great studio, great lighting, great equipment, who are bringing in good revenue from their work. I've been told by those people that all I need is a phone, just the bare basics. And starting to smell a rat here. And while I'm having this rant, I'll talk about another rat that I can smell. Have you noticed how increasingly creators are now posting about how to be creators? There are lots of YouTube channels out there which are dedicated to scaring the heck out of you about your inability to gain traction as a YouTube poster. telling you how best to set up. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that I sound interesting already. That's really very kind of you to say so. I'll continue with my rant, and then who knows? Given that I've had such a great response, I might tell you a little bit more about myself. Thank you. My rant thus far is that there is a proliferation of creators out there who are using high-end production techniques, and they're using guests that probably cost them thousands of dollars. It's a big business, but they're funneling down their message to people such as me who are working on a shoestring. And I'm starting to feel a little bit talked down to. And by that I mean all of those people are competing with YouTube, with the algorithm, with each other in order to get as many views as possible. And one of the ways that they're getting those views, I think, is by selling a false idea, a false notion. And I've seen it all before in the music industry. When I was involved in the music industry, what would happen would be there would be an underground movement. And then the major labels would latch on to the underground movement and then start signing up the underground artists and putting them out on fake indie labels. So that the stream up to the big producers was the same in music as it is in podcasting and YouTube now. Why would I post, therefore? Well, I post because I'm living the dream. I'm a man in my early 60s who has got a lot to say and feels that he's running out of time in which to say it. I do this because I want to raise my profile and I want to make people aware of the coaching work that I do. So essentially, I'm no different from any of those people that I criticize. However, I think I need to keep it real, and I have to explain to you that all of my work is still in its infancy. I'm bringing many years of resource design and educational knowledge to this. But when I started on this journey, I really did not appreciate how much technical knowledge I would have to develop in order to be able to communicate with the outside world. I didn't realize that I'd have to get involved in CRMs and lead magnets and funnels. I didn't realize I'd have to set up 2 or 3 different iterations of a YouTube channel before I found the one that landed for me. I didn't realize that I'd have to start listening to advice from other creators, such as post every day live, which is what I'm doing right now. I didn't realize that I'd have to learn how to do thumbnails and descriptions and catchy titles. I thought naively that I would post that I am a coach and that I would like to coach you if you're interested, and then the world would beat a path to my door. I think the problem is that the world, yes, only 4 people watching. Yeah, that's cool. That's 4 more than were watching me 9 minutes and 20 seconds ago, so I can live with that. Greetings to you all. But I did think naively that I would be able to just put my message out there and everybody would go, wow, cruel. Yeah, I like that. I'll have some of that. The world has moved on. And probably 10, 15 years late for YouTube alone and the other kinds of social media, because there's been a proliferation and explosion of interest and uptake in all of the social media. So there are billions of people out there now. And so when I post one of my lonely videos or live streams into YouTube, I'd have to be delusional, wouldn't I, to think that I was going to get a lot of traction. No, I'm afraid I don't coach karate. The closest I ever came to karate was learning to do I used to go to judo when I was a kid, and I learned some jiu-jitsu when I was older, but no, I'm not a karate coach. I'm not a martial arts coach. Um, if I were to try and coach you in how to do karate, I think we'd both end up getting damaged. A funny misunderstanding that I've had. Well, the funny misunderstanding I have daily is that I'm more competent than I am, I think. And then the other funny misunderstanding I have daily is actually I am more competent than many people think I am. It's a tightrope, really. What about you? I coach I coach specifically, I aim my product at men of a certain age, from 40 plus. However, I also work with the idea of neurological fixes and um, working with people's patterns and resetting patterns, and that is not a gender specific thing. Gender specific thing, I can work with men, and I like to work with men who feel that they've been marginalized in the workplace, or maybe after divorce, or the kids are grown up and they're looking for a purpose. But a lot of the work I do also applies to women who find themselves in similar situations. I don't know what an overhead bicycle far kick is. I do think I'm probably convinced, though, that if I tried an overhead bicycle kick, I would end up farked, if that's any use to you. So with the coaching, I was in education for a long time. I still am. I still educate adults and kids. And I thought it'd be an easy switch, that I'd be able to go straight from teaching into coaching, because, hey, they're so similar, but they're not. They're very different, specific skills. I will say this, though. Engaging in learning about coaching has taught me so much more about education. It's made me a better educator, that's for sure. Thank you for calling me a good sport. I wouldn't say I'm a good sport, I'm just resilient. As I say, I'm in my early 60s, so I don't think there's much that people can call me I haven't called myself, frankly. But yeah, so I now integrate a lot of coaching into my education work. Another thing I do is I teach kids musical instruments. I teach kids how to play guitar and piano and drums, ukulele, stuff like that. And what coaching has taught me is that an ounce of encouragement is worth a ton of strictness. So when I work with kids, I spend a lot of time encouraging. And so I brought coaching into that because, oh, thank you, mate. Yeah, 60%. Yeah, thank you. Cool. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's anyway, I'll finish that point about coaching. The thing is that I brought coaching into teaching kids and encouragement and kind of adapting neuro patterns. Kids come very frightened that they're going to be criticized by adults. And so I don't want to be that guy. I also have a lot of kids who come in, they're very creative. I don't want to go down in history as the one who told this guy who later became a superstar that he shouldn't be doing what he was doing. So I've been very encouraging. Well, with the parental thing, what happened was I made a massive mistake with my daughter, who has issues with confidence, unfortunately, because her brother is so overbearing. And she sat down with me and played the piano, and I ruined the piano for her because I was too critical. And I made a promise to myself that I would never do that again to any kid, let alone my own. So yeah, encouragement. I'm not talking about nurture shock, which is where you just offer unconditional approval, regardless of the situation. And I'm not talking about encouraging a kind of Mr. Good Sports mentality. I'm talking about having a mixture of encouragement, but also not bullshitting. So being willing to put the information on the line and call a spade when necessary. Kids are very, very sensitive to being patronized or matronized. So it is a balancing act, but it's one I do enjoy. So you just made it 4, bud. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's really interesting. This is day 16, I believe, of my daily drop. But this is literally only the second time I've had any evidence that there was anybody listening or interacting at the same time. And what I was doing was I made the mistake of posting my daily drop as if I was shooting a video and then just gapping it and not giving anybody a chance to respond. So, Laura, I've got to say, it's really cool that I am actually speaking to real people. I'm in New Zealand in the South Island. It'd be great to know where you guys are located. That is what excites me about YouTube, I must confess. The notion, the idea that a guy can sit on his phone and reach out. Oh, thank you. A guy can sit, small acorns perhaps. Well, it's down to Ireland. G'day, g'day. I'm formerly of the UK. I'm formerly north of England. The last place I lived in the UK was in Cornwall. Prior to that, London, many years. I've been here in New Zealand for about 20 plus years now. Raised a couple of kids who are now either overseas or back home and looking to go somewhere else, confident. Actually, I say my daughter has confidence issues. Yeah, well, you can kind of hear it, can't you? I've lost a lot of my northern. If I go back up north, which I never do, I would lapse into a different way of talking pretty quickly, actually. It wouldn't be much different, but there are different, you know what it's like when you go back home. So with my daughter, my wife has said that my daughter has confidence issues. I actually don't think she does. I don't think she got the memo, because my view, for what it's worth, is that we've been sold a lot of labels. And so when we start describing ourselves as having a confidence issue or having an addictive personality, etc., we are the sum total of the patterns that we've taught ourselves. So is it not logically the case that if you can teach yourself a pattern, which may be a bad pattern, logically speaking, you can teach yourself other better patterns? So within my coaching work, I try to encourage people not to summarize themselves as being something or as having a certain personality. I think that's a trick that society has played on people to keep them vulnerable. And of course, it helps, doesn't it, to sell products to people if you can make them convinced that they belong to some kind of sub-tribe. So, from here in the South Island, I've got to say I've taken a lot of encouragement from this meeting. And the reason for that is I've tried 6 times to live stream today. Genetically, yeah, that's interesting. Genetically fall into certain patterns. I would say there is that. I'm not a blank slate guy. I'm not one of these people that believes that everybody's a blank slate and that they can be formed by society. It's not my thoughts, ideology, or any of that. No, I think that we do come with certain characteristics. And I'm not sure about epigenetics, the idea that the harm of previous generations can be visited on this generation. I think that's taken it a bit far. However, I'm a good case in point. My sisters, my mother and father, they're all very religious. Mostly my sisters and my father, although he's passed on now. But he adopted me at a very young age, and I'm not. So I'm very, very different in my mentality and outlook from my sisters or my half-sisters, although I never call them my half-sisters. So I think that there is something in there. I think the wiring that was in my birth father which caused him to be a bit of a scamp and get my mother pregnant so young. Yeah, I think I've got a bit more of that than I have of some of the other wiring that I've observed in my siblings and my adoptive father. So yeah, I think there are proclivities. However, we're a learning creature, aren't we? We're all born while we're still gestating, and so we have to be taught everything we know. So although there are genetic factors involved, that's not the get out of jail free card. The most annoying noise is the noise of self-recrimination. And it happens quite a lot. And you'll find it between your ears quite often. And self-recrimination is a very annoying noise because it's your brain fooling yourself into thinking that you are unworthy, when actually you're not unworthy and you're just running a pattern. You're running a set of habits and patterns that have been installed by upbringing, to some extent genetics, but mostly by upbringing and society. And if you can overcome that annoying noise, yes, it can get loud. If you can overcome that annoying noise, I think you have to learn forgiveness, don't you? There's a Scottish saying about somebody who carries a bent nail in their pocket. You carry a bent nail in your pocket, it's no use as a nail, and all it's going to do is irritate your leg, and you're going to end up with a scratch and a scar and a scab. Well, self-recrimination is like carrying a bent nail in your pocket, is it not? It's no use to you. All it's going to do is scar you. So the antidote to that, I believe, or I feel, is forgiveness. And a lot of people poo-poo forgiveness because they think forgiveness is like some kind of weakness, of fallibility. But actually, forgiveness is the greatest strength you can cultivate, because if you can learn to forgive, and you start by forgiving yourself, and then you start to forgive others that you feel have harmed you, you liberate yourself from a lot of self-recrimination. Others like to promote, other coaches like to promote the idea of appreciation and gratitude. Yeah, okay, I can live with that. I can live with the idea that having gratitude is a great way to live your life, and it's a great way to liberate yourself from some of your doubts and your limitations. But my baseline is that if you can learn to forgive yourself, then you can learn to forgive others. And once you can learn to forgive others, they no longer hold the power over you to keep you suppressed or second-guessing your own abilities. Anyway, I'm going into lecture mode. I'm not sure whether that's why people come on these kind of things. If anybody is still with me and would like to ask me a quick question, feel free to do so, but I'm going to sign off soon. I've got to say, this has been a fascinating experience, and it's one that I will repeat. I'm learning, you see. So I thought I would learn to live stream, but I didn't realize what live streaming was. I thought it was like posting a video and just putting it out. So my aim now, having realized, because I'm a slow learner in some respects, but a quick fix in others, having realized what this is, I will choose a time to do this that is convenient to me, so that I can sit for 20 minutes, half an hour each day and just live stream. So if you follow my YouTube channel, which is the Pattern Interrupter, I might put out some information about when or times that are most optimum for me to do this live streaming. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. The dealing with your own luggage or your own baggage. Yeah. Sometimes your own baggage isn't actually baggage, it's just a backsack with a rock in it, eh? So, yeah, helping others, yeah. I did some work with children in support environments at one stage. And one thing I noticed, and I'm not guilty of this, but, well, I hope I'm not. Well, let's put it this way. I was guilty of this a little bit, but then I saw it in others, so I stopped doing it. Some people would go into working with kids in care, and they go in like they were like a missionary, being helicoptered in. Oh, cool. One more subscriber. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. A person would go into working with kids in care, kids who are vulnerable, etc. They go in like a missionary, and they would have a slightly patronizing or matronizing attitude towards their clients, and they would give everything. But what would happen then is that they would burn out really quickly. So what was happening is that they lacked professional detachment. So I think when it comes to helping others, forgiving yourself in order to help others, yes. However, helping others can come with its own barbs and hooks. So I prefer the term supporting others. And the reason I prefer supporting others to helping others is that others aren't necessarily so vulnerable that they need our help. Rather, that they are people with capabilities waiting to be exposed who need our support to do those things. It's a subtle difference. It's just playing with language to some extent, but I think you get my drift. Yeah. So somebody's posted number 2, cheese. Well, thank you. Well, I will respond to cheese with chalk. There you go. Great. All right. Well, look, I'm going to get going. I didn't think I'd be here this long. I thought I was going to be around 8 minutes. I was going to say my piece, then gap it. So thank you so much, everybody. Thumbs up to all of you. And I will set out some times when I can post. And at the end of the day, I really love listening to the sound of my own voice. So, we could have a good thing going here. Right. So I've got to go now. So I'll catch you on the other side. And thank you so much for your encouragement and even your wacky comments. Peace out. Goodbye.